For thousands of years, humanity searched, salt dissolved, cattle died, shells were flooded. Every kind of money the world had tried carried a fatal flaw. And then, buried in the rock, people found the answer that would rule the world for the next 3,000 years. But here is the strange part. The metal they chose was almost useless. You could not eat it, you could not build with it. It was too soft for a blade, too heavy for a tool. And yet, on every continent, in civilizations that had never even met, humans looked at this one shiny yellow metal and agreed, this is wealth. Why? Why gold? The answer is not magic, it is a checklist. After every failed experiment, humanity had quietly learned exactly what money needs to be, and one material passed every single test. Test 1. It must last. Salt dissolved, cattle died, grain rotted. Real money can never decay. Gold is nearly immortal. It does not rust. It does not rot. Pull a gold coin from a 2,000-year-old shipwreck, and it gleams like the day it was made. Test 2. It must divide. Remember the problem of the cow? Cut it in half and you destroy its value. But gold? Melt it, split it, hammer it into 100 tiny pieces, and not a single flake is wasted. You can hold a fortune or a fraction. Test 3. It must be portable. A rich man's entire wealth could fit in a small pouch on his belt. Try that with cattle or sacks of grain or the giant stones of Yap. Gold packed enormous value into almost no weight. Test 4. It must be uniform. One piece of gold is identical to any other of the same weight. There are no good ones and bad ones, no big and small like cattle. Every unit is the same, so every unit is trusted. Test 5. It must be recognizable. Picture a merchant in an ancient market, rubbing a piece of gold against a dark stone, studying the bright streak it leaves behind. That golden mark and that unmistakable shine were almost impossible to fake. A cheat might paint a rock gold and fool a buyer once, but real gold gave itself away instantly, and the fraud never lasted. Test 6, the most important of all. It must be scarce. This is the test that had destroyed every money before it. Shields flooded in by the shipload. But gold, you cannot flood the world with gold. It is buried deep in tiny amounts and torn from the earth only through brutal labor. No ship could ever dump it on a beach. 6 tests and gold passed everyone. But wait, there was another metal that passed too, silver. And here is the truth most people never hear. Silver did win. For thousands of years, silver was money, real money. The coins in ordinary hands, in more places and more often than gold. This was never gold alone. So why did gold end up on top? Because on a few tests, gold edged ahead. Silver slowly tarnishes and darkens. Gold never does. And silver is far more common, so it takes a heavy handful of it to equal a tiny sliver of gold. Gold packed more value into less. For everyday coins, silver ruled. But for pure, lasting, concentrated wealth, gold became the king the whole world measured itself against. Together, these two metals would go on to build empires. But notice something. For all these thousands of years, people were still weighing raw lumps of metal on scales, arguing over purity, checking every piece by hand. Gold was the perfect material, but it was still just a lump. What if you could stamp it? Guarantee its weight and purity with a single mark, so no one ever had to weigh it again. Turn a piece of metal into a promise you could hold in your hand. That idea would change everything. It would create the single most powerful object in the history of money, the coin, and the very first one was born in a kingdom so rich its king's name still means wealth today. That is where we go next.